Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Geek 2.0 podcast. I'm joined with just myself and Tommy over here for this episode. It's going to be a short one, but it's going to be a very interesting one. I mean, we're going to be talking about, the updated theme park experience since, I would call it post-COVID and new, you know, separation rules and all that sort of stuff, all the new stuff that's coming up as well that it'd be good for bringing your families to if you want to go out. That's the big main thing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's start with when was the last time you went to the theme park, Tommy?
So, I'm a gigantic Disney freak. As you can see, I've got Mickey Mouse over here behind me. So we had annual passes, and we had the Mac Daddy annual pass. We're, paying out the butt every month for it. That included not only the parks, but the water parks and everything like that. Well, we kind of canceled it about a year before COVID, strictly because we weren't going during the summer. We were going to renew and everything and along those lines. And then COVID hit. And then we decided just to cancel our subscription altogether. So we haven't been since probably almost a year before COVID.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think in that time, especially for Disney, if we're just going, let's just talk about Disney for right now. Not Age of Resistance, that was the ride. The Star Wars Land opened up in 2019, I believe.
And, it opened up right before COVID came to United States. I think they were just starting their pre-entry, for annual pass members and the Magic Hour members. I only know a group, a handful of people that actually made it inside because it was, obviously it's a new land. It's a hot mess the first really year and a half that it's open.
Yeah, I remember watching the videos when because Disneyland's version opened up, I think 6 months before Disney World. And it's it's when you look at it, it's like a sea of people's heads. That's all you can see. And it's, of course, you got the GoPro stick it up. And
Well, here's the funny thing, and I don't know, and this happens to me with all media or anything along those lines. As of next week, I'm going to be fully vaccinated. But now, watching that, and I'm not an introvert, I'm a huge extrovert. I love being out. I love being around groups of people. It kind of has made me a little agoraphobic, which makes me worried about going to a park because now, the concept of just that many people in a space just makes me feel super weird. So
I'm in the
I see photos of that.
boat. Yeah, I'm also in the same boat. But we have been to Universal recently, and the way they do things, they're very. If you got the little dingle dingers, you got the people with the nose sticking above, and you get the employees constantly above the nose. You gotta make sure it's covering both your nose and your mouth. There's still some people that were good, or I'm not saying not good, but not good of following the rules, but they're quickly told. And I don't know how Disney is, probably the same or probably more stricter, but Universal is pretty good on that.
So I've actually seen videos online. There's a great subreddit called People Freak Out, Public Freak Out. And it's literally just video of people having heart attacks over chicken McNuggets and stuff like that. Or there's a lot of Karens on there that I broke the law, but why are you arresting me? Literally those kind of conversations. And there was a couple that were posted at both Disney World and Disneyland where, people were kind of going a little crazy. And there was one video, and it was great, of one guy yelling and literally a team of security guards make a semicircle around him to push him out of the way of everybody else because they were kicking him out. He was refusing to leave and wear a mask. So they are, from what I've seen, pretty militant.
Disney is really good at that.
Yeah, they shut you down real quick.
Yeah, you don't see them until you're doing something stupid. All of a sudden, you got, like you said, a team of people say, "Excuse me, you're out. Goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't exist in this world anymore."
Yeah, well, I've at a certain point, probably right before COVID hit, we were going to Disney other than the summer months, probably at least 2 times a week. I'm sorry, 2 times a month. where you get to see all the craziness because you're just there. And it's like, you go once every couple of years or something like that. You have a pretty, benign experience.
Yeah.
But when you go, you see what a lot of Disney employees and, park employees have to deal with people kind of being crazy. And I can just imagine how that is, increased just because of COVID tensions.
Yeah, I mean, especially during the summer months, it's bad enough, especially here in Florida, where temperatures right now are like in the 90s, low to mid 90s, and of course you add that with wearing a mask, and it's just very uncomfortable. And of course you suck it up. You're like, I spent over $100 to be here, so
Oh yeah,
you
bare
go,
minimum. Yeah.
yeah, minimum. And there's people out there, especially Universal, getting the Express Pass. That's yet another almost $100 per
Mhm.
person. So it's like it's not the best time to go to a theme park in this state.
No, like we bought the Mac Daddy Pass just to have the water parks because we weren't using it for almost 4 months out of the year. And I mean,
Mhm.
if you have a Disney, especially if you're a Florida resident, really like if you do the math, if you go more than 4 times a year, it's paid for itself.
Oh yeah.
But we bought it and we thought like, oh, we're gonna go to the water parks during the summer. And we just never went. Like we like, we never used the Mac Daddy version of like the Mac Daddy Pass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the only thing that you could do, especially, I was lucky enough that really early on I found like those moisture wicking masks, the ones that
Mhm.
because I had one that was just a black mask. And
Oof.
living in Florida, if you just went outside and it was like above 75, just breathing through that thing, like you would just sweat just around your face.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So people that are going to Disney right now during the summer or any theme park really during the summer, especially here in Florida, psychopaths. Like you have to be dedicated. Like this must have been on your to-do list because there's no way you can get me going to a Disney, even if I was able to right now to go to a Disney park. I don't think I would suck it up. I don't think I would
Oh
go ahead
no.
and do it just
I
because,
mean, the reason why
yeah.
we went is because it was the last day of our passes, and it's like, you know what, we got to go. We don't want to, just throw away $100 right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's
And it's
yeah,
that kind of
it's
split. Like it's so expensive that you're like, I feel obligated to. Like this is just wasting money if I don't go.
right. But it's just the one thing is when because they're still doing the temperature checks, which in my mind, it's not really it's pointless, so to speak.
Yeah, it's skin
Because
temperature.
yeah, it's temperature, and it's not going to
Yeah.
do much. But if you're wearing a hat, or if you're just walking from one part of the parking garage or parking lot, you're going to be elevated temperature, and then be
Well, I think
like,
it's
oh,
like,
well, go ahead. No, you can't come in because you walk for half a mile.
yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't even think those surface temperature things actually work. Like, I can understand in the middle of the night, like at night, when you have kind of
Mhm.
just a blank ambient temperature, no sun beating down on you. But like the surface temperature of your skin, just walking outside here in Florida right now is 1,000 degrees. Like,
Yeah,
I've
you're
seen
on the
mosquitoes
surface of the
burst
sun.
into flames. Yeah. Landing on you. So,
But it's just one of those things where I know that Disneyland is actually opened up this I think this week,
yeah.
and that's because California has a little bit different rule sets with opening of theme parks or large gathering spaces. So it's been over 400 days, over a year, that Disneyland has been closed to the general public for anybody actually. And Disney World, let's say it's been almost, I want to say 9 months or no, later part of 2020 is I think when they officially opened around September time frame, I want to say. And they're not draconian with the rules. From what people I've heard, I have family members that gone recently, is that there's still people going out there like selling out. There's the parks are sold out because you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to have a reservation to get
Hmm.
into the park. Universal is the only one that doesn't require that. In Busch Gardens, you have to have a reservation. So if you really want to go, you have to make sure you want to go and set up your time.
Yeah, and I think especially with theme parks, so living here in Florida, we don't have state income tax because every
Mhm.
Yankee that comes down, and previously as a former Yankee, I understand it. Um, that's where we get all of our funding from.
Hmm.
It's all sales tax, sales revenue. And there is a unique argument that is made that when COVID hit, a lot of people I know that are in the entertainment industry here in Florida absolutely had a heart attack,
Oh yeah.
because even the amount of layoffs at Disney World, or the kind of issues where they're like, well, you're not working, you're not getting paid, but you're still technically employed by us.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people are freaking out. And even now that we're open, Florida's been open. Uh,
Yeah,
whether
we never really
that's,
closed.
yeah, we never really closed. We closed for a good month and a half.
Oh,
Um,
good job, guys.
well, and it's like this flip thing. Like they're like, well, the numbers in Florida aren't. I mean, were bad. They were really bad, but they
Mhm.
weren't as bad as everybody else. But what people didn't understand was, yeah, everybody's getting infected here, and then spreading it, and then bringing it to their home state.
Yeah, spring break,
But
and then
yeah, bike week, everything. Um, but I understand from kind of the business point of view that Disney had to do something, especially with the size. Disneyland is not a very big park.
oh no.
It doesn't bring in a lot of people per year. Disney World is literally an entire, pretty much a county that Disney bought. That everything, they have their own infrastructure. They have their own city council for Disneyland properties, and I mean Disney World properties. So like that's basically shutting down an entire, like that would be shutting down the entire income of an entire pretty much country at
Hmm.
that point, because they are self-governed areas, as people who live in Florida know. That is pretty much a sovereign country, is Disney World.
Pretty much, yeah. And then it not only affects it also affects the surrounding Orlando area because you got
Correct.
International Drive that has a lot of touristy spots, hotels,
Hmm.
resorts that no one is going to, no one's flying into Orlando International Airport. Um, so it's pretty much you can see how a ripple effect just continues to spread out from just one large conglomerate company to the smaller mom and pop. Even the small, like the crappy gift stores you see on side of I-4,
Yeah.
they're
Well,
affected as well.
that was a life lesson from Disneyland,
Mhm.
which was, he just put in Anaheim, I found a plot of land, orange
Yeah, a bunch
groves.
of groves. Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of groves, but he only bought, X amount of square miles. And then as that became a tourist spot, all the other land just went for premium. People are buying it up and everything. So that's why Disneyland can't expand. And that's
Hmm.
what Disney learned. I was like, I want to build a bigger and bigger park. I want it to be an ever evolving thing to keep it fresh and new. And when he came over here to Florida to look at, the surrounding areas, including the town that I live in, for possible areas, the thing is, he was like, I want to buy as much land as a private citizen can buy.
Hmm. Yeah, he did
So
also on using like shell companies where it's not like, oh, Disney is buying this. No, it's like whatever company named at the time that he was using to buy large tracts of land. And eventually, I think it was what a couple years before eventually came to be found out that oh, Walt Disney is buying all this stuff. All of a sudden, within that probably minute, land prices just skyrocketed.
and if you want to know what those shell companies were named after, they're all the upper office spaces are named after the shell companies on Main Street, USA. So
Hmm.
all the fake companies that he has up on the top when you're walking down are all the names of the shell companies that he used to buy up all the land.
Yeah,
Because he
and
knew,
the
he
thing.
learned from his first experience. Disney's building something.
Mhm.
We're just gonna, if you see Disney Corporation on any property, it just goes through the roof. So whenever they buy extra property now, because they were looking at building another theme park in Virginia at one point,
I
all over
think it
the
was
United
also
States,
Texas or
Texas as
somewhere
well.
like
They
in
were looking at,
Midwest. Yeah.
mhm. And what they, so they learned, we just make these shell companies.
Hmm.
Even Buena Vista, which is the land that the property management company is, they don't name it after Disney. It's Buena Vista Estates or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
well, it's the whole area where the city name is the Reedy Creek.
Mhm.
Um, not conservation, but it's Reedy Creek. That's what
Yeah.
they're go under. Like they have their own fire department, police department, pretty much
Yep.
everything. They are their
Yeah,
own city.
it's a municipality at this point.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's one of the but the whole history is crazy. But you break down what COVID has done to just that industry. Period. Now in the state of Florida, I mean, a lot of people got hurt. So I'm happy to see the parks opening back up, of course, because it's not only I love the parks, but it's a
But
huge industry, and it's what keeps Florida afloat. So I can understand why
pretty
people are
much.
freaking out.
And going back to what you said with like the Karen videos and stuff like that, because I've seen videos where people's just freaking out over like a table. Now, I'm sitting at this table and it's mine. How dare you? You still stay here for another 5 minutes? And it's just, I don't think that has to do with any COVID situation or anything like that. It's just human nature. Humans are stupid.
Yeah, I don't think yeah.
Yeah. But the way certain things are, like we mentioned with Disney security is like almost a Secret Service level. You don't see them until you are doing something.
Oh yeah, they
Other
literally
parks,
are like hollowed out trees probably, and they just ready to pounce. Yeah.
No, they portal in from another dimension.
Yeah, they're like the bug that they had in Cyberpunk 2077, where all of a sudden you turn around and there's cops behind you. They would just be magically teleporting cops.
Now, the nice thing I've noticed about how they have changed certain things of how they operate, like restaurants, quick service restaurants. You go into like standing in line, go to the cashier, order your food, go to another line to pick up your food. It's a lot different now. There's no more. Well, they're still standing in line. Of course, you're like 6 feet apart from each other, or from different groups. But you go into a line, and then they bring you to a table. But you order everything through your phone or through the app, and then within 10 minutes you have your phone. I mean your meal. And a lot of places are pretty much just switched over to that, and it's actually quite nice if you think about it, where you're not having to fight over tables or have one person sitting at this huge table that can sit 20. It's like, no, my family's coming. No, everyone is getting a turn to eat and get in there, eat, and then leave. Which I think it's a nice change. I hope they keep that.
Well, I know that Disney was experimenting because, like I said, we weren't even like a year before COVID hit, and what wound up happening was, I noticed on the app that some restaurants started allowing for pre-order through the app. Like you go in, no different than you do for Starbucks or anything like that, where you pre-order your food, and then they have an express lane that you just pick it up at. So
yeah, I know it was Casey's was one of the first ones, or was it a Starbucks? But yeah, you're right. Where you do your mobile order and you can do your mobile order pickup. But I was thinking with how they have it set up, because the big problem was finding tables in a lot of these places. Like I said, you had this one or two people sitting at this huge table, like hogging it for a good half an hour before their family even arrives.
Yeah.
That equation is just taken out. It's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Everyone's getting a fair shot. And I've noticed a lot of people, when we went earlier this year, a lot of people were keeping the groups separate up to a certain point where you get the markings, but the markings are like 30 feet in between each other. And you get that one person that stands on that marking, and they're constantly looking behind them. Say, okay, if you're that worried about, anything about keeping distance, then the theme park is not where you want to be at this particular moment. 6 to 10 feet is great. 30 feet, and then you're giving everybody the stink eye because they're less than that.
Well, and it's such a weird kind of situation that you bump into. So I'm under the impression, I'll wear a mask when I go out and everything like that. I know the CDC said now that you're in open spaces, as long as you're not right next to each other, you don't have to wear a mask. I will never understand the kind of person that is in that opposite direction, where they're like, I'm not going to listen to any of the rules. And I can understand if when I say understand, some people get news sources or get information from different places that sometimes are not honest. But it's one of those things like, why can't you just be normal? Like
Hmm.
it's not like it's a cult thing. It's not like that. They attribute it to that in a weird way. But it's one of those things like, this is for the time being, a social norm.
Yeah.
You make people feel better if you just kind of stick to the rules a little bit. They're not
It's not,
hard
like
rules. Like, wear a
it's
mask, and
not
I understand that it gets
authoritarian.
hot. Yeah, it's stay 6 feet apart,
Yeah.
and everybody's cool. There would be no issues if everybody just, and it's not giving up your social security number. It's not giving up your freedom.
No.
If you want to have
What a
that
lot of people
argument,
say, yeah.
well, it's like, I want to go out and, government can't make me wear something. All right, try going to Disney World naked. See how quickly people tell you, like, I can't walk
Exactly.
around with my cash and prizes hanging around without having some kind of legal issue, and it's one extra article of clothing that people are asking you to wear to be, make people feel more comfortable and
Hmm.
be a decent human being. And I think that's one of the things that I have such a hard time kind of getting over, especially in public places like that. It's like, no one would think less of you if you just did what you were supposed to do. People are asking you to do to make as a common good, to not stress people and quite possibly save somebody's life. Just,
Exactly.
just
And
can't you just
save
do it?
yourself or someone else's life. I mean, it's just it's just being a good human or
Yeah.
decent human, I should say. Like we're not striving to be, the best. We're not asking you to be like a Mahatma Gandhi or something like that.
Hmm.
It's just to be respect other people's um, boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I've been in lines at Disney World and stuff where I've had people like almost on top of me in lines, and it's just like, why do you have to be this close where you're almost physically touching? I can feel you on my back.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like, I understand, conservation of space when it comes
Hmm.
to lines and stuff like that. But you're right. I never understood the person that has to be right up on you, because it's like, listen, you're behind me in line.
Yeah,
No one, no one's gonna swoop in and be like, oh, there's a 2 foot gap. I'm gonna run in there and just fill in that. It's not like you could just drop ship yourself in the middle of the line
right.
because there's a 2 foot gap. Like, people are like, you're gonna get on after me. No matter
Yeah,
what, at this point, you're gonna get, unless something happens, you're getting on next.
yeah. The ride
You
breaks
don't,
down. You know what?
yeah,
Who cares?
yeah, and at least the line breaks down or something breaks down. You're not up in my grill, breathing my hot mess of a body after walking around a
Sweat, body
park
odor,
for
and stuff.
like
Yeah,
4 hours. So it's like, please understand personal space.
I get it. A lot of it is also cultural too, where a lot of places they don't have that's a societal norms where
Hmm.
whatever we're closed in. Love look at the Japanese subways and Chinese subways where they're basically packing people into as whatever empty space, like maybe even on top if they could.
Well, I know that was actually a big problem that they had in Shanghai Disney when they opened. That
Hmm.
a lot of people, a lot of citizens in that area didn't understand the concept of a line.
Yeah,
Or like, it's not a daycare. Like, they would just let their kids run off at Disney World. I mean, at Shanghai Disney. And they're like, no, this isn't like a daycare. No one's going to watch your kids. Like, you still have to keep your kid. And the same thing with lines. Like, they were showing videos of Americans going to Shanghai Disney. And like, one guy literally just took a video of another dude that basically had his chin up on his shoulder in line, because he didn't understand the concept of, like, he was pushing him. He's like, I can't go any faster,
yeah,
or there's a gap. This is one of those things that there is like a 2 foot gap and somebody just wiggles in because they're like, well, no, you're not filling in that space. I'm going to fill it in for you.
yeah.
So,
It's just um. But the thing is that I liked where the lines are no longer you don't have that feeling, so to speak,
yeah.
where you're more comfortable. Yes, the line seems like it is goes on forever, but in actuality, yeah, the line says it's 60 minutes, but more than likely it's probably 30 to 40 minutes wait
Yeah.
time because everyone is it's spread out. But I just love that feeling where unfortunately it's not going to last once everything goes back to normal,
Hmm.
where everyone is back right up on each other again, and it's just like, hey, you're breathing in my sweat, enjoy. Hope my deodorant's working. Oh, it's not. Oh well.
Well, and I wonder if that even in just in the United States, that may be kind of like a weird state cultural thing because, even for me, like going back, like there's moments where I'm, doing something, I'll be videotaping something or I'll be someplace that is, not open space, not a lot
Mhm,
of people wearing masks, or even when people are wearing masks, like as soon as it starts getting to more of a group of like more than 10, there's something in my brain that just makes me feel extremely uncomfortable about being there.
mhm.
Um, even if I do go out, like I don't go out and stay out until how late I normally would stay. I just at a certain point, like about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, I just kind of want to be home. I don't want to. This is making me feel very uncomfortable. Um, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to that have taken it seriously and everything are like, no, and now I just feel uncomfortable around that kind of, just a group of people.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if some people, and I think it's gonna be even worse after kind of everything is gone
Yeah.
back to normal because you're gonna have those people that are no, now I kind of liked not having everybody on me. I kind of like not feeling somebody's breath on me. And then the concept of is like, it you may I hate to say it like this, but like you look at people like you look like you might be diseased. Like you
Yeah.
you you look like you're a hot
You, you
mess.
you got the bags on your eyes and
Yeah.
you slouched over a little bit because
Yeah,
you're
you
tired or something.
oh, it's like when you see somebody coughing now.
Oh
Yeah, out
yeah.
in public, you're like, "Oh, no, no, not okay. Get away from me."
I have to stop myself because I will do like
Y
turn my head like look
y
where's it come from?
Yeah, it sounds like it's like how I would react when I used to hear people yelling. It's like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh my god, is that guy gonna just keel over right now?" Um, and, I think there's going to be even a bigger mix mash of people like, hey, I no longer feel comfortable. I'm kind of now agoraphobic a little bit because of, what happened. And then there's going to be people that are, the combination of it was never a real thing and other people that are
Yeah.
like, listen, let's just get back to normal. I just want to get back to normal. I want to be up in your grill. I want to blow out the birthday candles. I want to do all the things I used to do, lick doorknobs, rub my face on bathroom stalls. I want to do that because that's going back to normal.
Yeah. And it's something that we'll probably see starting this year.
Yeah.
I've been hearing like rumors or like rumblings that they're probably going to be lifting some restrictions on a couple things here and there. And I can see that opening the floodgates, pretty much just flooding the valley where all the people finally I'm free kind of feeling for a lot of people.
Well, there's a historic kind of precedent for that. After the Spanish flu in
Oh yeah.
1912, um, one of the reasons the Roaring Twenties, a lot of people believe were a thing was because everybody it was finally eradicated. So and I have some single friends that have not been on a date in almost 2 years and they're like I'm doing things as soon as the bars are open, as soon as everything's cool, things are going to get a little crazy. And I get it. I've
Be another baby boom or something.
oh yeah, 100%. I
Oh
think
yeah.
but the thing is millennials can't afford to have babies, so
Yeah. Good luck with
yeah,
that. Here's another
yeah.
credit card. You're pre-approved.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things I'm wondering, but I think it's gonna be an over balance of people just getting out. Like I know so many, I want to travel, but I traveled quite a bit. I
Mhm.
didn't travel as much as I could, and now all I want to do is go somewhere else. I want to go on a cruise. I want to go to Virginia. I want to go back to Disney World. I want to
Well,
experience all these things because I've been
well,
stuck in
speaking of
my
cruise,
town.
that's one industry that's probably never gonna come back to what it was before. Um,
Yeah, I think it's
even
going to be
before
either a remodel.
COVID, yeah, before COVID, it was still you go on a cruise and you have a high chance of getting a stomach bug
Oh yeah,
because we see in all the stories, especially was it uh, what's that cruise line, Sun Cruise or something
yeah.
that
It's one of the
constantly
knockoff Carnival cruise
yeah
lines.
Carnival
It's
yeah
usually it's always and it's always Carnival.
it
So
always it's either the boat engine explodes, it catches on fire, and it's stranded for days,
Yeah.
It's never anything good. But now we're seeing that, oh, let's go ahead and open it up. Say, oh yeah, let's go to a petri dish where it's still over 60%. You can catch something. Let's
Hmm.
do that. So yeah,
If
I
I
think
think,
cruises are not going to be coming up as they were. It's going to be decades before they come back.
yeah, I think the only one that's going to really kind of spearhead, getting it done correctly, weirdly enough, is Disney. Because,
Oh yeah.
Disney, I've been on plenty of Disney cruises and they don't mess around with anything. Like they
Mhm.
don't, because it is, their whole thing is it's fun, it's safe, and everything's okay. Because you're entrusting us with our kids. If anybody's never been on a Disney cruise, they basically put a tracking device on your kid's arm and you don't have to see them for 7 days. Like they just disappear and they give them a cell phone that works on the ship. So like the only time you see them maybe at dinner when they show up, if they want to show up, or they can go get food with their friends and stuff. If you're a parent, Disney cruises is, and you just need that one, that break. Oh my God, it's the
Yeah.
best thing in the world. But like everything's super secure on a Disney cruise. They don't mess around with your kids' safety. And I can see them being basically like power washing you with bleach every single time you walk past them. I can totally see that just to keep
Oh yeah.
everything down.
Yeah, because a lot of big thing was their offshore excursions. I
Hmm.
can see that becoming less of an option, or you have to get to the ship about an hour or two prior to it leaving. Because we've
Yeah.
seen the videos of people running down the docks when the ship is,
Oh
we're
yeah.
getting ready to load. The plankway is coming up.
Oh
Hurry
yeah.
up.
Oh yeah. I've been on cruise ships where that somebody had to fly to the next destination because they missed the ship.
Mhm.
So yeah, and yeah, I've seen people have to do that just to get back to like they have to puddle jump or take a ferry to the next island or whatever to get back on the ship. I've had people at my table do that, um, and I can see that probably becoming even more strict
Yeah,
because of the
especially,
lead time that they're probably going to need.
yeah, because
So
you have to go through, of course, temperature checks, disinfectant, whatever.
mhm.
Because you got the person there with the hand gels, like here you go, and that's just gonna add hours to your departures,
Well,
and it's gonna be also. I think they're gonna be not overselling or filling up the cruise ships each time. It's probably gonna be about 70, maybe 60% full.
Yeah, because you're thinking about passengers, but then you're talking about staff as well.
Yeah,
And
the crew. Yeah,
I've seen the videos of and the behind the scenes kind of videos that people take on cruise ships, especially from the cruise quarters. And especially when COVID first hit, and they were like, "Well, we still have cruise ships and stuff like that. We're still doing the cruise thing." And they showed like, here is your average staff bunk,
Mhm.
their room, and it is the size of a decent sized bathroom, and sometimes there's 3 to 4 people in that one room, and if you're sick, it's not like they have any place to put these other people. Like you can't really quarantine somebody, especially at the kind of scale that can be infected, where you don't have anybody else being even remotely a chance of infection. It's
Mhm.
it's recycled air because
Yeah,
you're in
pretty
the
much.
bottom of the ship, so you're technically underwater.
Yeah, your steerage class.
Yeah, there's no ventilation system. You can't crack open a window because the window is underwater. So
Mhm. That's if you
eh,
had a window.
if you had a window, yeah, and you're sleeping 3 people to a room sometimes, and there's no you get a curtain. Like the curtain's not going to stop any viruses. So I'm wondering how that is going to work.
Well, I know they've been planning on doing trial runs with their crew and very minimal crew just to see how things go.
Yeah,
I think Royal Caribbean was going to be conducting that, and of course, Carnival, of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, as if the boat doesn't get stranded somewhere.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
They're the
Yeah, that's
laughing
that's
stock.
if you get the coronavirus on a Carnival cruise, that's probably the best thing that can happen to you on those cruises. So any budget
Yeah,
cruise, like that's trust me, I had the neurovirus from a crappy uh, cruise. I wanted to die for like 48 hours. Like it
yeah.
was,
And there's
yeah,
half your cruise is gone
yeah,
because you're
oh yeah,
sitting there throwing up in your bunk.
Yeah. If you're going on like a 3 to 4 day cruise, you get that the first night, you might as well just give up, like throw yourself overboard at that point because the
It's dumb,
benefits outweigh the risks at that. So
right? Yeah, and I think a lot of it, not just because of cruise lines, is also going to be construction is with all the new stuff that be coming up within theme parks and stuff like that. So I know, let's say we're constantly talking about Disney because they're doing a lot of construction right now in
mhm.
Epcot and Disney World. A lot of their construction projects have been put on hold or completely shelved indefinitely that haven't stuff that hasn't been started yet. I know
Yeah.
that Disney World, the Tron roller coaster, has been put on hold, and it's probably what another year before
Hmm.
completion. It was going along pretty good until COVID hit, and then put a kibosh on it. A lot of Epcot stuff has been pushed back or just canceled outright because there was the was it the Living with the Water with Moana type
Hmm.
section that has been completely canceled for budget and time constraints. And they're spending billions of dollars on these construction projects. That also, again, affects ripples down to the construction industry.
Yep.
That they're not going to be making as much money as they were before prior to it. So there is some. What was it? Epcot was doing this whole big revamp of the front half of the park pretty much is going to be revamped to make it look a lot better.
Yep.
And it'd be interesting to see how much longer it's going to take. I mean, they did finish up the where they got rid of the dead monolith in the front part of the
Yeah.
in front of the golf ball there. That
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
never understood that.
The millennial wall. Yeah.
Yeah,
The millennial wall or something like that. Yeah, where you could have your face laser printed onto what looks to be. Yeah. It looked like going to a mausoleum. Like that's
pretty
the
much.
first thing that popped in my head. Like, oh, these people are all dead and they died in the park. This is
Exactly.
congratulations.
So
Don't sue us. We're gonna laser print your face on something.
because what it did remind you of like a memorial of like a
Yeah.
tragedy. The Vietnam Veterans Wall.
Yeah, it was.
It had
It's a
because
weird
there's a dark
flex.
onyx mineral that they use, and the pictures were probably less resolution than a Game Boy photo back in the day.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
of course, when you go into the park, like you said, it's like, oh, some huge tragedy happened here.
Yeah, and just I mean the architecture, if it was a memorial, would be a beautiful memorial, but it's
Mhm.
like like I'm pretty sure I saw this at some war torn country or something like that. It's a Sokovia memorial
Yeah.
from Winter Soldier. Um, but yeah, I'm happy they're getting rid of that. But like even the Star Wars resort that they're building, the
Hmm.
all inclusive hotel, and that's in a special place in my heart because it's where River Country USA used to be, which I used to
Oh
love
no,
going
no,
to.
that's the hotel's gonna be right across from MGM.
Oh, is it? I thought they were building it right
Oh
next to
no,
where River Country used to. Oh, okay, maybe I'm
no,
wrong.
no, they're building expanding out DVC resorts of the
That's
wilderness
right. Yeah,
where
that's
River
right. I'm
Country
sorry.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the
Um,
the hotel for the Star Wars hotel is going to be where Star Wars Galaxies is.
okay.
It's right
Yeah, that would make
across
sense.
you right across the street, pretty much from
Yeah,
that area.
that would make
Make
total
more
sense.
sense, yeah.
But yeah, it's even like that. You wonder. That's basically a cruise ship on land. You stay there, you live there. Of course, you go to the parks and everything, but like the whole reason you go to these kind of all inclusive resorts is so you really don't have to leave, and the entertainment is right there
Mhm.
in your hotel. And I'm wondering how that's going to work because I know from things that I've seen online about it is that's a pretty big endeavor. Like
Oh yeah.
Disney's never really done anything like that. Um, other than the Hawaii resort, which is a little bit more inclusive than say, just staying at Wilderness Lodge. I wonder how that's going to affect because obviously they're not going to be able to fill it up to capacity anytime soon.
No, they wouldn't be able to. They'll have to
Yeah.
have be because a lot of hotels. is what they say is that when you book your room and you leave, that room is clean, of course, but it stays vacant for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you have a rotating blocks. Pretty much, you think of like a hotel is half full any
Yeah.
given day. Yeah, it's just pre-COVID, Disney was spending billions of dollars on all these construction projects, pretty much within months of each other. That's when it started. Now, I know they started the construction of the hotel pretty much like maybe 1 or 2 months after opening Star Wars Galaxies, which is another big thing because how they do the when you get on a ride, they do it not a fast pass or a ticketing system. It's like a reservation. Like
Hmm.
you have to be in the park and you have to schedule your time that you're available or you want to ride. And then you can go ahead and throughout the rest of the park and then they'll call you. With that is how would they do things post COVID? Like how their programs that they were going to do, are they going to be redoing it or getting rid of stuff? It's kind of up in the air. We really don't know exactly what exactly is entailed of their Star Wars hotel. And I know it's almost probably almost completed. It's just the final stuff.
I think and this goes for companies as a whole. I think a lot of companies, Disney included,
Mhm.
didn't know what to do when COVID hit. It's this conversation that I have all the time, which is, the day that you had to shut down your office, how quickly were you able to get your employees to work no different than they were working in an office? And I think it's the same thing going to be going in reverse. I think once everything's cleared and everything is, quote, back to normal,
Mhm.
I think companies, Disney, theme parks, municipalities, everything now have to readjust to a post-COVID world. And, it's like, all right, what about the logistics? Like, okay, so Disney opens back up 100%. Do you have to bring proof that you've had your vaccinations? There's talk about, just in general, vaccination passports.
Yeah.
So, how does Disney handle that? Like, all right, do you have to fill out a form beforehand when you make a reservation or when you buy tickets saying, here's my proof that I've had the vaccination, it's been X amount and if it doesn't, if, we don't get to herd immunity levels, you're talking about the potential of needing booster shots every year. So how do you track that, to cut down liability? And I think there's a kind of a mixed bag about that is, well, I should have the freedom to do that, but also for the common good of the people around you and to try to
Mhm.
get this literally to get us back to normal as much as we possibly can. That kind of stuff has to happen. And I think it's kind of telling people obviously that they have to do it doesn't get people to do it. Almost half of Americans say they're not going to get the vaccination. And so restricting the things that you can do if you're not vaccinated, I think will motivate a lot of people to get it done because it's like, well, I want to go to Disney. I want to be able to go to my office. I want to be able to do these things and fly. And well, everybody's saying, private industry saying we have to have a vaccination or proof of vaccination. And then, so how does Disney, is that going to be a thing for Disney where it's you go and you have to show, here's my vaccination card. I was vaccinated. I'm fine. I'm good to go.
Yeah, and then of course you got the other side of the coin where all the people saying, "Well, why should I carry a card? Was it like papers, please?" Kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. It's the paper.
mentality.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like you got to have papers, please, to buy alcohol. You have to have papers, please, to drive a
pretty
car.
much.
You have to have papers, please, uh, to buy Sudafed. Like
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
you have to. We are a. You have to have papers, please, to vote. We are everybody.
We are a
It's
papers,
always
please country
every
now,
single time
or
somebody.
been.
I always like to say this is every single time some kind of form of something that you have to carry around to be basically a functioning human being is papers please or the mark of the devil. It's so
I
it's
don't
a
want to get a
conversation that
vaccine because Bill Gates is going to put his tracking device. Well, guess what, buddy? You carry one of these around.
yeah, yeah. Well, not that
Yeah,
this watch, but my other watch. I'm
yeah,
like
yeah. That's
it really tracks me. Like it knows if I'm having a heart attack. Um, but it's that kind of thing that I'm wondering. how are companies like Disney, like anything, travel, all that stuff, where you have an influx of people coming in and out of a location, how are you going to track that?
And it's
Because
going to
it's
be so many
either,
different ways too. Is that one company's going to be different than another company, and then of
yep,
course you got your cities and states are going to be different regulations.
yeah. And and once again, we're going back to Disney a lot, but the governor of the state of Florida says we are not going to be a papers please state. There is not going to be any requirements, at least from a state level mandate.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also talking about that, and they can't affect businesses really.
Yeah.
They can affect other cities. Is that what happens if Disney goes, no, we're a paper please location. You need to be this. You have to have this vaccination card and prove that you're vaxxed. At what point can the Ron DeSantis say, but we're not a paper please state. You have to let people in. I'm obviously not a lawyer, especially, I know I'm a policy wonk, but like not, I don't know the legal bearing for that.
Yeah.
And my theory is if companies can be citizens in the United States, I think, it's a weird mix, I guess, a weird bag.
It's undiscovered country that we're going or been in and continuing to go through, where how different things are changing. Either theme parks, businesses, construction, and everything kind of ties into each other, and
Yeah.
it's something where you're not have the knowledge of what to do exactly, and you're pretty much playing by ear. And your best decision is probably the worst decision, but you won't know it until crap hits the fan, pretty much.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, okay, well, let's go ahead and try it this other way. But
Well,
oh, go ahead.
well, but it pulls into the liability. Disney,
Mm-hmm.
as anybody that knows that's worked at Disney or know people that worked at, liability is the thing that they want to lessen the most.
Yeah.
And, especially now, because people died at Disney, like people died at Disney World. And until recently, most people didn't know that because there was no social media. There was no like, hey, a kid got eaten by an alligator, which happened a couple of years ago. But like, the guy that died on the runaway train when it stopped and it broke and literally speared the guy through the chest with a coupler, like things along those lines. I think it's going to be the same thing post COVID, where it's, people are going to be posting Disney's doing nothing to keep you safe, or
Yeah.
in the opposite direction, Disney is forcing you to inhale carbon monoxide through your mask and it's going to give you a lung infection and you're going to die. Like
And
that's,
you also get autism too.
yeah, you're also going to get the autisms and
Yeah.
whatever else, the 5Gs. So I think it's kind of in a world now that a lot of companies are damned if they do and damned if they don't. It's just, you have to level out what juice is worth the squeeze. Is the crazy people that are, anti-maskers because they think of crazy conspiracy theories, are they the people we want to tailor our business to? Or is it the other people who, do the science thing?
Yeah.
Who do we tailor to? And I think that's just happening to companies as a whole right now in the
And they
United
kind of
States.
have to do a mix of both, unfortunately. Well, not, I'll take that back. Not unfortunately, but it's just the nature of business, how they have to function. You have to cater to the nutters, and you have to cater to the normals. It's just, like you said, it's just the precious balance. Like balance as everything should be,
Yeah, balances everything.
Without
Yeah, they should just
Thanos
have
was right.
Thanos. Thanos should just be chilling out front, holding that little dagger
All these
thing, and
problems
just
could have been done if you let Thanos do his thing.
yeah.
Seriously.
Well, the whales came back to Hudson Bay, so
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's pretty good for an episode. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for coming by, Tommy, again.
No, my pleasure. I always
you're
have a blast.
becoming a one of those regular guests.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan. I love talking
Big
to
fan.
you and the other guys and everything. So
Oh yeah, we love having everybody on, and I'm thinking about bringing other people on too. That have maybe only seen once or twice in past episodes. Bring them back on, see what they're doing. But
yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, if you want to keep on track of everything, look on our Twitters. That's Geek20 Podcast over on the tweeters. And also on the collective.network, we have a whole situation there where all of our past episodes are listed. You can easily listen to them and all that. And thank you for coming by, and we'll see you next time. All right, have a good night.
Bye, everybody.